This is Matt for Into Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by one of, well, not a prospect anymore, but one of the hottest talents in British boxing, Dalton Smith. Dalton, welcome to Cardiff. You're just doing your open workout. How are you feeling?
They're feeling good. Good to be in Cardiff now. Wales. Obviously boxing with Joe on GB and stuff. It's nice to be boxing on his undercard, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Good atmosphere out there today. Last time we were in Wales, there were. Your last fight, Leeds, First Direct Arena. It was a good fight. It was a tough fight. He came to fight. Got a few warnings for a couple of low blows. When you look back at it now, what have you sort of taken away from it? Is there anything you look back on and said, I could have done this better, I could have done that better, sort of thing?
I think as a fighter, we're always going to be critical with his performances and stuff. And for me, I probably could have said I could have stepped the gears up a little bit earlier. But I'm learning to become a championship round fighter, and I probably learnt more to do the 10 rounds than if I blasted him out. So I proved that I can carry the power, and I've got the engine for those later rounds. Yeah. Especially with someone who's trying to apply pressure. And obviously Ray Moylet is overall a great fighter, amateur and professional. And I wasn't in there with no mug. And I proved that my levels are a lot higher. Like I keep doing with the opponents, and we just keep on moving.
I think many people, when Rayma got mentioned for you, were sort of overlooking him, or Dalton and the other, but a lot of people in the boxing world knew he weren't going to come to muck about. He was there to give you a stern test, and in his heart of hearts he believed he was going to win that fight, which only makes it better for you, because it'll obviously allow you to showcase more of your tools. But when you look at that level of opponent, do you think that was a good step for you to sort of make that next step before you start moving on to European world level fighters?
Of course, Ray Moylet, from what he won in the amateurs, to do that alone, you've got to be a good fighter. And Ray Moylet, he went to had a couple of fights in the States and did a little bit under the radar, so he never had that limelight to showcase his skills. Yeah. We knew what it was about, we knew what we was up against, and we knew we had to be 100% for that fight. And credit to him, because he's still a great fighter, and I think he'll come again. But yeah, I just believe I'm showing my levels now.
Now, when Eddie Hearn and all these people in boxing talk about you being one of the biggest talents that this country's got, is that come with any sort of pressure? Because you seem very calm all the time, and I'm sure inside there's maybe a little bit of something, but people are talking about you as that sort of the next wave coming through, and we've been talking about it earlier with a few fighters saying all these sort of pay-per-view fighters of the past, your Khan, your Brooks, Bellew, bygone years, David Hayes, all these fighters sort of moved on and retired now, so there's that gap that we're still waiting to be filled. Do you look and see that as like, that's where I'm heading for, I'm heading there, that's what I want to be, that pay-per-view star where your name's all over and plastered?
Of course, I wouldn't be in the sport if I didn't believe I was that good. I'd be wasting my time. Wants to get in a ring and get punched in the head for a living, if they can't come out financially stable and achieve great things, because I know I wouldn't be in it for that. I believe I'll be there one day, and this is my apprenticeship now. I'm learning my trade, and it's paying off. But as a fighter, especially when you've got like the public, the pressure and the public eye around you, and the platform we're on, there's always going to be pressure there. It's how you deal with it, it's the team you've got around you, and it's about having good people around you. And the number one I've got is my dad behind me, and he like I say all the time, he's never going to blow smoke up my arse. So
yeah. Does he help keep your feet on the ground after you maybe come out and you've had a great performance? You're obviously on cloud 9. Does he sort of get into you and say, that's all right, but look, we can do better, we can do this, and you're like, right, back to the drawing board? Does that keep you on a bit of a level?
It does, yeah. I can come out with a fight, and it doesn't feel like I've won sometimes. Because my dad's always like, we can do better, we can do better. With my dad, it's always, no, we can do better than that, we can do better than that. And I think that's why, I've always progressed, because it's like, right, we're not where we want to finish. That's all right, but we move on. We need to be better next time. And my dad is harsh, but that brings the best out of me, and I believe that's where it's got me today.
Absolutely. Well, whatever works for you. Look, I want to get your opinion on the fight that's happening this weekend. We're getting a range of opinions on it. Devin Haney he's in Australia now, challenging for undisputed against George Kambosos Jr. Incredible matchup. What do you think happens in that fight?
I think technically Devin Haney is the better fighter, but Kambosos is an absolute workhorse, and you can see that from the Teofimo Lopez fight. The engine won him that fight. That overpowered the boxing ability. But I think it's Devin Haney. You know, he's composed, he's trained hard, which he comes across. He's a true professional. I remember him from the amateur days because he was at the same age as me. So I just think if he turns up and he fights, how he always does, I can see a points win for Haney in that fight.
You mentioned being the same age. Have you ever had a move around with him?
No, I was actually spotting Shakur Stevenson out in the States, but I always remember that crop coming through, and the talented crop.
The crop that you're part of as well now, and we're going to be excited to see where you're going to go. Look, you got a message for your fans, people will be tuning in, family, friends, sponsors. Have you got a message for them just before we let you go?
Of course, big support to my sponsors. They're all on here. It wouldn't be possible without them to become a full-time athlete as well. And Matchroom, Eddie, my dad, the whole team, and and also big support for Joe on Saturday night.
What happens in main event?
I think Joe becomes world champion. From what I've seen I know Joe from the Great Britain squad. I've been around the world with him, and he's an exceptional talent. And I just think it's his time now. He's at the right age. He's in his prime, and I'll get some buzz when I see him become a world champion.
Yeah, he couldn't have picked a better setting for it in Cardiff either, so looks like it could be written for him, but tough test ahead, so we'll have to see what happens. Dalton, thank you for talking to Into Boxing. We'll catch up after your fight, if not at the next one, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.